The first thing that we should recognize about this question is that we're dealing with a line. This story really doesn't matter if we first of all notice that this is a y equals mx plus b equation. We need to be really good about recognizing these things when we see them on the SAT. A lot of the SAT is lines, so you need to be able to pick out these equations very quickly. Once we do, we recognize that the question they're asking is a lot easier than it sounds. 4.36 in the y equals mx plus b format is the slope. So they're basically asking us to find a slope. Now right away, that should help us get rid of choices A and B, which kind of sound like initial values, which are y-intercepts. But both C and D do sound like slopes because they use words like increase, which is a pretty good indicator that we're talking about a change or a rate. So if you are really careful, you still might be able to pick out that the answer here is C, just from the way the story is describing it. It's really going to be an increase in the diameter that will increase the height. So the diameter is kind of like the independent variable, and then the height is dependent on those increases. But honestly, if you are unsure, this is very easy to test, especially because we have the calculator. So what we can do here is arithmetize. Let's take a look at what would happen if we actually increased the diameter by 1 inch as instructed. So if we started out with d equals 0, it's really easy to find that out because then 4.36 times 0 plus 38.44 is 38.44. So that's really obvious right away. And then we can just increase that by 1. And so what happens? Well, we would just do 4.36 plus 38.44. You can probably see where I'm going with this, but even still, we would get 42.8, and then we can subtract them. If you're confident with math, you already know that when we subtract, we're going to get 4.36 as the change, which is basically describing the 4.36 in the question and the way that we change things based on choice C. If we did the same thing for choice D, we would get a completely different number. So this is a way to test slope, and sometimes we do need to do this test because harder questions will kind of ask about slope in this more backwardsy way, but this is a more straightforward example. The slope of the line is just given in the equation, and choice C is a perfect description of what a slope is based on this particular story.